Alright, so our next drawing here is, I don't know, whatever you want to call this. We're going to name this a potion bottle. Ivan first and last name here. Alright. And as we think about this, so we're going to still use the revolve command on this. We're going to learn a couple other tools. So let's go ahead and we're sketching on the front surface of this. Let's go ahead and create the line tool. So I'm going to come over and do a horizontal followed by a vertical line here. And at this point, I'm not really going to be too concerned at all with the dimensions. So we'll come back and get some of these dimensions in later. So if I kind of come back here and say, all right, I want that there, and then we'll kind of place a arc right there. Let's come back to the line tool, and this is going to be have a little bit of a chamfer. Let's bring that into the center, and we've kind of completed this. Now I can kind of go back and say, all right, let's get some actual dimensions on this. So, all right. So starting out, we will dimension this, and we'll say we're going to want this to be 0.75. Overall length here with this, we're going to make this to be 4 inches. Notice how everything kind of goes crazy. Don't worry about that. We will bring the dimensions back in. If I say from here to this end point here, so we'll drop this in place, and we want this to be 2.5. Notice how now that brings that back in place. So kind of just thinking about these actual dimensions. So that gives us some overall here in regard to that. Let's place this dimension here, and we're going to say this is going to be 0.5 with that. And we will dimension from the center over to here, and we'll say this is going to be 1 inch. Now, at that point, so if we're at 4 inches here, we're at 2.5 up here and 0.75 here. That brings us to a total of 3.25, which means from here to here is 3/4 as well. Let's go ahead and dimension this at that, and let's say 0.75, and we can kind of bring that dimension in here as well. We could certainly make this smaller, or kind of make it look like that. So, or we can make it bigger. So kind of seeing some of the differences here as we go out. If I say 2 inch, notice how it's going to get closer and closer to the line as we change that radius. So we're going to go ahead and keep this to 0.75. It's a nice dimension in that as well. And I also want to fillet down here. So let's kind of place this 1/2 inch fillet down there. That works pretty good. So, and one more dimension that we probably want to bring in. Let's go ahead and let's make this 0.25. Push everything back out a little bit more. Actually, I think I want that to be a little bit bigger than that. So let's take that right there like that. So we get a little bit steeper of radius. And if I go bigger here with this radius, let's kind of play around so we can get some differences in the actual bottles that we would make. So just kind of see how things are going to react as we place some of these actual constraints on here. All right, so I'm done with that sketch. So we're going to revolve it. So I need to select the space that I want to revolve, and then the axis that's revolving around is right there. So doesn't quite look exactly like what we've got up there, but it's not too bad. I think the biggest difference, let's come back to our sketch. I'll undo this. Let's go back to our sketch right here. So we were at 0.75 up here. Let's change this to 0.375. Let's make that a little bit different. And let's change in, this is going to go up to 3, kind of bring that. So, and let's see, there we go. So we're getting closer there as we kind of take a look. So I'm pretty happy with that as my revolve. So let's bring this in. Now, we want to make this more or less hollow. So we got to put the hole in here. So we've got another solid modeling tool that we call, as we go through here, as we take a look, we call it a shell. So I'm going to use the shell feature here. I'm going to select this part right here. Notice this is going to hollow the whole thing out. And my shell thickness, which is basically the wall, we're going to make that 0.2 here. So that's a little bit too much. So let's back this back up to 0.125. We'll make it 1/8 of an inch wall thickness and hit the check mark. Now as you go, we can see inside there. So now we've got a hollowed out part that's going to be able to be used the way we want it to be used. So let's go back with the isometric. I'm going to turn off my planes here. So including that origin point. And we want to assign some color. So let's get back into our appearance panel. So we're going to highlight everything here. Let's go to the face appearance. We're going to make this that blue just like that. So let's go ahead and make that blue. But here, instead of having this color, I'm going to change the transparency. So we're going to bring this all the way down over. If I go too far, I'm getting too much. So let's kind of be somewhere around 0.17 and hit the green check mark. So now you can see we're transparent with that as well. Let's close off the appearance. So we've got that taken care of. So there is our bottle that is fairly transparent, has a close look to it. Let's create another part studio here. So let's go in. I'm going to hit the plus down here, and we will create another part studio. This comes out as part studio 2. So I'm going to come here, put my cursor on part studio 2, right click, and let's rename this. We're going to rename this the cork. So we're going to make sure that that is a cork here. And let's sketch now on the front view again. Again, for the cork, it's not a big deal. So we can just kind of come in with our line drawing. If we kind of come in here, we're just going to kind of get the basic shape. Kind of come back here, close that off right like that. So that's, so let's extend this back out. So hit my escape key. Make that connection so it closes off. As you look at this, so we do have kind of a little chamfer from here to there. So we'll put that in place just like what we see up here. So let's go ahead now and let's trim that out. So I'm going to trim this and this. So hit the escape key to get out of the trim tool. Let's go ahead and we need to dimension some stuff. But in order to know that for sure, I got to kind of come back here to this part right here. We're going to put the cork into this hole. So that's kind of where we're placing that. And I want to kind of have an idea. All right, so what is the size of this? So there has to be some type of a way that we can kind of sit here and say, all right, what is the size? So if I say, all right, let's go to this curvature analyzer. We've got some different things that come up on there, but nothing to do with our size. So again, as we take a look, we can come up with different types of features here. So that might give us some information that we need to kind of pick up on. So in order to do this. So, or I can come down right here and we say, all right, show measure details, show analysis tools, display mass properties. So let's go to show measure tools right here, and I'm just going to click on that. Now, notice the diameter here is 0.75, and that's the information that we need, is that 0.75 diameter. So let's go ahead and close off of that, come back to our assembly, or back to our cork drawing. So now we know that someplace along here we have to be 0.75. So we can use that. Let's go ahead with our dimension here. I'm going to say this is going to be 0.25. So as we bring this in, because that will be a ½ an inch. So, and if I say this dimension from here to there, if I say that's going to be 0.5, so which would be 1 inch, that means somewhere along this line is going to be where our 750 thousandths falls in place. We'll go ahead and dimension this up here. In this case, let's dimension this to 0.450. Bring that in. That shouldn't be too bad. Let's go ahead and dimension from here to here. Let me try that again. So get rid of that. So let's try the dimension from this end point to there. That's what I wanted. And let's make this 0.05. Kind of bringing that in. It shortens it down a 50 thousandths chamfer on that. I don't like that. So let me hit the escape button, get out of the dimension tool. Let's change this back to 0.1. So there we go. And let's also dimension the overall here with this. We'll go ahead and make this a 0.75 cork here, and I'm going to add another radius, another fillet. We'll say from here to here. We definitely don't want that to be 0.5. Let's make this 0.1, see what that does. That's a little bit too big, so I don't like that. So let's hit the escape button so we can change this out. We're going to go 0.05, 50 thousandths. We'll make that a little bit smaller. That's better. Let's click the green check mark. I can come back in. We're going to revolve this again, and this is going to be revolved around this axis. So in this case, I think that our slope is too exaggerated here. So let's go ahead and click the green check mark. We can come back into the sketch and edit this sketch. Let's take this back up to 0.350. So this is going to make that so it's not quite as extreme. There we go. That's a little bit better in terms of our cork. But since this is a cork, let's see if we can assign that material. So I'm going to come down here to the cork, right click, and say properties. So we can bring in the properties. So say part right here. So if I kind of can label this, but none of that's what I want to do. So let's hit close. Let's come back to my part 1 right here. Right click and assign material. Now let's go ahead and type in cork, and there I do have actual cork. So place the check mark. So let's go ahead and to my appearance panel, highlight everything with this. Let's make that a brownish cork, something that looks like this. We can kind of We don't want any transparency here with that. So, no, I don't really like that